I missed that. Oh.
I was there.
You got Blair.
That's right. Nice to have you back, Mr. Peters.
We'll try this again.
Okay, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning to our board members and those visiting us in the atrium there. I'd like to start by calling this full commission meeting for the Forest Preserve District of Commission Kane County to order on July 9th, 2024. Getting a little echo there. My name is President of the Kane County Forest Preserve.
Cheryl. I'm trying.
The mute button. Oh, thank you.
I'll do it this way.
I like hearing myself, so I hear twice. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Now,
Okay. We will
Sorry.
pull this order and get this thing underway and make sure that it's. Can I have a roll call, please?
Allen? Bates? Berman?
Alan on the way.
Doherty?
Right here.
Davist?
That was here.
Comes here.
Present.
Ruby?
Ruby here.
Kenyon?
Ty is present.
Leonard? Lewis?
Lewis here.
Linder?
Linder here.
You're muted, Mike.
Molina?
Linder here.
Molina
Got me.
present.
Roth here.
Sanchez?
Silva is coming in slowly. My apologies.
Strathman?
Strathman here.
Sturgis?
Sturgis present.
Carver? Pepe?
Tuppy here.
Williams?
Williams here.
Young?
Here.
Mr. Linder
You have a quorum.
reported in the affirmative, but I never did hear him. I don't think I can hear you, Michael.
Are you sure you can't hear me?
Still nothing.
We can hear him online.
Mr. Doherty,
Yes.
don't hear him as well.
And Miss Silva?
And Dr. Silva, are you present?
She's on her way in. Yeah, she's on her way in.
Oh,
Her purse is present.
okay.
Perfect.
Well, that's maybe all we need. I see Mr. Leonard
Yeah.
coming up the aisle here.
She is.
Hey, we do have a quorum. Sure.
I can hear all of them online.
Give them a chance to figure out what's going on. Okay, can we have a pledge of allegiance, please? And would Mr. Roth, would you lead us in it, please?
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Roth?
Morning, Mr.
Okay, well, we do have a quorum.
President, I'd like to check in.
Oh, and Mark, Mr. Leonard is present. Comes Ms. Silva now, Dr. Silva.
Got the audio working?
And I'm going to ask for unanimous consent to allow those who have requested to attend the meeting and participate,
Consent.
which would be in a moment here. Without objection, Ms. Allen, I see, Mr. Doherty, and Mr. Linder. And I think that's it.
I think so too.
And I still haven't heard anything from them as far as voices. But and when we get to votes and things or questions, type it into the chat or make some signal or something if anybody knows sign language. Okay, so without objection then,
Consent.
well, I'm glad you approve. Anybody else? We'll allow those to participate then. And thank you for joining us online.
That changed. Can you hear us now?
And then right now, I will go to public comment. And Mr. Habither is down with a communicable something or other that's called COVID. So he's not with us tonight. So it's going to be just a little bit different, or this morning, it'd be just a little bit different kind of a meeting here without Ben. I can see he's online.
Yep.
And
Mr. President,
I'm
this
guessing
is-
he can't speak. Or we
No,
can't
can
hear
you-
him. I can see.
You
that he's
can't hear
speaking.
me either.
Thanks for joining us, Ben. You haven't sounded better.
Okay.
And then for public comment, pardon me while I get my notes in order here, we have Mary Oxenschlager, excuse me, Mary Oxenschlager to speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so my name's Mary Oxenschlager. I live in Sugar Grove. I'm here to talk about the referendum proposal. I've been a volunteer for many, many years for the Forest Preserve. I'm a real big supporter. am also on the Kane County Forest Preserve Foundation, and I love doing this work for the Forest Preserve because I really believe in the value it gives to our people. I'm want to remind you, I know you have lots of things to think about. I'm sure you appreciate the Forest Preserve too, but I just want to remind you about some of the things it gives us. The first thing on the this referendum will do is give us a chance to buy 125 acres a year. It's terribly important that we be ready, have funds ready to buy targeted places if they come up for sale. It may be a matter of time. And so it's important to have those funds available. Mostly we think of the value of open space in terms of mental and physical health. And that's certainly true. I'm on the trail every day. I see people walking and running, and walking dogs, and walking with their friends, and on the weekends, the families. But it's more than that also. It has many functions that we need in order to be healthy and to live and have a good quality of life. One of the main things that I'm interested in is children learning in nature. In this digital age, being outside is not as much of a thing that they get to do or they even think about doing. I was a nature teacher for many years. And once children feel safe, they're in a beautiful place, they just turn on. I have never experienced a child that didn't just get so engaged in what was out there. A caterpillar or a bluebird or a crayfish. Their imaginations and their creativity just blossom. They would say to me, can I bring my mom and dad here? Can we come back? So we have a great interpretive nature program with the Forest Preserve, and they do a lot and they could do more wonderful things for our community and especially for our children, but all of us, they have programs for everyone. People who don't go to the preserves might say, well, what's in it for me? And the answer is a lot. And mostly it has to do with water, clean water, lack of flooding, clean air. We need these spaces to catch stormwater, to catch precipitation, hold it, recharge our aquifers. I get my water from aquifers. I'm sure many of your constituents do. We need it to be clean. We need it to recharge our aquifers. I was on the Kane County Planning Commission for many, many years. And we learned that any proposal for development absolutely had to have at least 40% open land uncovered in order to working with our stormwater ordinance in order to keep bad things from happening, get water getting out of control and getting in places that it shouldn't be and being very dirty. So that's what our forest preserves do for us. They can't do it all, but there's lots of people in this room who also leave their yards wild and do that too. We all know that green plants give off oxygen. Everybody knows that. And we need that. We need clean air. Wildlife habitat. If any of you are on one of those next door posts that come to your email, a lot of talk is about wildlife. People love wildlife. They love seeing cranes land in their yard. They're so amazed, or a little fox family or something like that. We all know, of course, with the circle of life, we need wildlife. We need all the parts of nature, but we also love it. So I hope that you will give consideration to letting your constituents decide how they want this forest preserve to go forward. And I think they'll choose to have the referendum. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Next I have John Hoshite.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for letting me speak today. My name is John Hoshite. I'm a St. Charles resident and a big fan of the Forest Preserve District. I'm also a big fan of short meetings, so I'll try to keep my comments brief. I just wanted to thank you as a board and a commission for everything you've done. I know you're going to consider under new business the putting a referendum on the ballot to allow us to continue a program that we started back in the 90s. At that time, we were worried about preserving land and open space for our children. Now I'm worried about doing it for my grandchildren. So that's how long we've been at this. But the program started back then. It's continued now, 5 referendums. This would be number 6. And it's had support from every corner of the community, conservative, liberal. It's been a nonpartisan issue. And I just wanted to point out to the board a couple of the important aspects of it that made us successful in the past, and let you know that we're here to continue to support you in the future. First of all, people are concerned about government spending and controlling government spending. The funds that are raised through our referendums are not, in my mind, spending, they're investment. We're buying land, preserving it, improving it in perpetuity. That's different than spending it on wages and operations, which many of the taxpayers are concerned about. The second, and I think this is really the most important part in a democratic society, is this is not something that you as a commission are imposing on the public. It's giving the public the opportunity to authorize the investment. So what we did in the past is we made promises to the community about what benefits we could obtain by selling bonds that were eventually going to be paid off. Each time we finished our investment process, we reported back to the community about our successes, and then we came up with another referendum. And this is merely a continuation of that process. So it's truly a democratic process. If the community supports it, then we implemented it. And that's the way we've always taken it. If the community says, we appreciate what you've done, but we're not interested in moving forward, we agreed to live with that as well. Now, from an economic perspective, there's a couple important points. And first of all, the cost of this referendum to the average taxpayer will be roughly $3 a month or $30 plus or minus a year. As with prior referendums, each time we imposed a new referendum, we didn't impose it, we asked for public support for it. We were in the process of retiring bonds so that the incremental tax increase was more than offset by retiring bonds. In 2 years, there will be a retirement of a big bond, which will reduce the average homeowner's cost by about $47 a year. So this incremental cost for this new referendum is simply replacing only a portion of that increment from our last referendum. That's an important point that I think everyone needs to know. And then Mary O can speak for hours about the benefits to the community and the environment. But from a taxpayer standpoint, I think there's a couple points to keep in mind as well. We all read now about what a beautiful area Kane County is to live. And our cities throughout the county are either the best place to raise a family, the safest communities, and those accolades continue, and that's not by mistake. The importance of the parks and the open space and the trail system goes a long way to sustaining our property values. And I will tell you this, that every dollar as a taxpayer that I've paid to support Forest Preserve referendum has come back to me an increased valuation for my home. I think everyone knows if you put a house on the market right now in Kane County, it'll sell pretty quickly. And that's because it's such a great area to live in, but it's also because we've made this investment in the community. And just one other issue from a taxpayer standpoint, I want to give you one example of how the impact of a referendum like this has ultimately on taxpayers. In a prior referendum, one of the catchphrases was the Forest Preserve referendum is the ultimate tax cap. Well, we were faced with in St. Charles School District, this was out in Campton Township when Glenwood School was selling off land. There was roughly 300 or 400 acres there that the city of Elgin was planning on annexing and building 500 homes. And we were faced with a referendum which the incremental cost was going to be about $30 a year. Now, with only a portion of those referendum funds, we were able to buy that 300 acres, and now it's part of the Coron Meisner Forest Preserve complex. Had that property been developed and the 400 or 500 homes gone in, there would have had to been a new elementary school built, which would have been a permanent increase to our school district taxpayers of about $110 a year. So you can see the economic benefit. My point is this, and I could go on forever on the economic part of it, but this referendum has something for everyone. And I think in the support, when we pass these enabling resolutions, we've had virtually unanimous support from the commission to do that. And I would ask that you continue to try to copy what we've done in the past. This is something that you'll never have a constituent complain to you about. And it's really one of the reasons I stayed on the board as long as I did, because we kept passing referendums and continuing the process. So thank you. I think I've talked longer than my 3 minutes, but I really appreciate the opportunity to come back, and thank you in advance for your vote.
Thank you, Mr. Hoshai. I have one other speaker, Mark Schrage. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we're going to test out our mics.
Ken, would you try saying something to us?
Yeah, here's an audio test. Can you hear me all right?
Okay, I think I still have an issue with the online folks. Thanks, Ben, for trying.
Okay, thank you.
So yes, I'm Mark Schrage from Elgin, Illinois. And I guess I'm one of those constituents who's not all that sure about what's going on with this thing. My understanding is that with the increase in the limiting rate from 0.045 to 0.074, that is a 65% increase. Now that's more than half, but it's not double. But nowhere is that really included. I mean, I know it's dollars and not hundreds of dollars per resident. But it also increases the revenue by 65%. I mean, that's a lot of millions of dollars in my mind, in my accounting. There's a lot that it wants to do. It provide funds to preserve and maintain forests and natural lands, acquire lands to protect rivers and watersheds, plant trees and protect wildlife, enhance flood control and drainage, maintain and improve forests, preserve woodlands, wetlands, and prairies, provide nature education and outdoor opportunities for all ages, increase forest preserve access and safety, improve recreational amenities such as hiking and biking and camping and fishing, and other preserves and other purposes. To me, it's like me going for a home loan to the bank and asking if I can fence in the backyard, get a new roof, new gutters, new sidewalk, new driveway. Can I fix the floor in the kitchen? How about replacing the lead water pipes in the basement? Did I just say that? Paint the hallway, and by the way, I want to buy the neighbor's house, which is up for sale. So as I understand this, we're asking for this increase because we're not able to maintain that which we have, but we're looking to acquire more. Am I wrong about that? So that takes care of the rant portion. By the way, I love walking in the forest preserve. The other side, I wanted to propose, is it possible? I mean, is there no way that the forest preserve can generate its own revenue? I mean, when we takes the tax dollar from the payer, the Kane County citizen, I mean, that tax dollar came from big oil or a banker or a stock speculator, and it gets transferred and we're preserving the forest preserve. Are we? We're just stealing somebody else's oil rig, somebody else's oil preserve in Brazil. That's all we're doing. Aren't we? I mean, are we really unable to sustain our lands without capitalistic exploiting somebody else's? That's my larger, and I don't have enough, I don't have the wherewithal. Believe me, I don't. I mean, I got a $149 lawnmower. Gotta change the plug, sharpen the blade every year. The last 3 years anyway. I'm glad that the Forest Preserve is in the process of voting on this and of putting it on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schrage. Okay, I believe that's all our public comment. Nobody else online or anything? Although maybe if they're online, not sure we'd hear them. Any word from Ben? Not yet. Okay.
Here's the audio test for you guys.
Okay, thank you. Then on to regular
Not that-
business, I believe. May I have a motion or a request to approve the minutes from June 11th, 2024? Moved by
Roth will make the motion. We do an unanimous
Ross.
consent.
You asks for unanimous consent for for approval of the minutes from June 11th, 2024. Are there any objections or any changes? Hearing none, minutes are approved. Item 6, may I have a motion and a second to approve the bills and commissioners per diem for June 2024? Moved by Iqbal, second by Gums. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Allen,
Alan, I.
Bates. Yes. Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
Vest,
That was yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal. Juby,
Juby, I.
Kenyon. Caius,
Caius, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina. Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Sturgis,
Yes.
Tarver. Pepe,
Tuppy, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Young,
Yes.
Bickford.
Motion passes. We have no presentations today. And item 8, under Finance and Administration, may I have a motion and a second for FPR 24073094, a resolution approving the purchase of 6 zero-turn mowers for the Operations Department. Moved by
Berman.
Berman, second by
Strathman.
Strathman. And we have Mr. Jeremy Jensen, our Ops Director.
All right, good morning. I'm here to provide information for the consideration of approving a bid for the purchase of six zero-turn lawnmowers. Mower 424 and 425 have reached their useful life expectancy of 1,600 hours. Mower 320, 321, mower 429, and mower 430 are all 2018 propane models that have experienced continual malfunctions and extended periods of downtime. All six mowers will be replaced with Toro Z Master 6000 series mowers with a 60-inch cut and a 31 horsepower engine consistent with our most recent purchases. We are requesting the utilization of Sourcewell Joint Purchasing Program through the authorized dealer of Ralph Helm Inc. out of Elgin, Illinois. Funds totaling $102,000 have been approved for this purchase in fiscal year 24-25 under the machinery and equipment within North and South operations. At this time, we are recommending the approval for the purchase of 6 zero-turn mowers from Ralph Helm Inc. for a total cost of $96,923.52.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Jensen this morning? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Doherty has a question.
I'm sorry.
Doherty.
Oh, Doherty? Mr. Doherty, I'm sorry. I see your hand now. Go ahead.
Why didn't we buy electric motors?
The question was, why didn't we buy electric mowers?
Electric mowers are considerably more costly at this time. We just have been going with the gasoline powered. They've been reliable and very reliable for our operations.
Does that answer your question, Mr. Doherty?
Not really, but okay.
Okay. I'll assume you're satisfiedly dissatisfied. All right. Any other, roll call, please. No other question.
Allen,
Allen, aye. Yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
I already know.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Yes.
Juby,
Ruby, I.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Bias, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman? Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Carver, Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
approved.
Motion passes. Okay, under planning and utilization, may I have motion and second for FPR 24073095, a resolution approving a bid for common reed control for 5 forest preserves, moved by,
Roth will make the motion.
I'll take Roth and Kenyon. I think I heard that out of that. Thank you for all participating. Okay, and we have Mr. Pat Chess, Director Pat Chess. Yes.
Good morning. Here to provide you with information for the potential approval of a bid for common reed control across 5 forest preserves. Common reed, or Phragmites australis, is a large invasive species. It's a grass. It's the one you'll see along the sides of the highways that grows 15 to 20 feet tall. Primarily a wetland invasive species. We'll find that we get patches of it that pop up in the middle of our large cattail marshes. So while staff controls that species across the county, some of those populations will pop up in areas that are relatively inaccessible to us by foot. And so every year we seek to contract out some of that work to companies that have amphibious equipment that can drive right out into the wetlands and reach those areas that we can't. So this year we do have 5 different preserves that we're looking to contract this work in. Those are Freeman Came, Rayburn Marsh. We have 2 along the Great Western Trail in different locations, and then 1 at Binney Forest Reserve. We did go out to bid. We received several bids back in for this work. The lowest qualified bids were coming in from Integrated Lakes Management and RES. Both of those companies we've worked with on this type of work with in the past. They both do own their own Marshmaster equipment, which is why you'll see they tend to get lower numbers than some of these companies that don't own that equipment and might have to rent it. In total, all 5 of these projects came back in at a total cost of $47,424. We do have funds totaling $140,000 budgeted in this current fiscal year for weed management. All $140,000 are still available, which is sufficient to cover that cost at a little over $47,000. So at this time, we are recommending going forward with approval of all 5 bids.
Thank you, Mr. Chess. Any questions for Pat? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Allen, Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Oh, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Combs,
Combs, yes.
Iqbal,
Ford, yes.
Juby,
Shuby, I.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
Burgess, yes.
Carver, Tepe,
Steffi, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
and Allen. It's approved.
Motion passes. And let's with Pat on this one. May I have a motion in the second for FPR 24073096, a resolution approving a bid for natural areas vegetation management at Settlers Hill Golf Course. Moved by,
Leonard moves.
second by Ford. Go ahead, Mr. Chess.
All right, and then I'm here to provide you with information to consider the approval of a bid for control of vegetation out at Settlers Hill Golf Course. Several years ago, we did undertake a large renovation of Settlers Hill Golf Course playing surfaces. At the same time, we did start undertaking work to control a lot of the invasive species across the natural areas that surround and are within the golf course itself. So all the areas that are in the rough between the holes, we've been working on controlling invasive species across those over the last 2 years. We've been piecemealing the control of the woody invasive species in order to cut down on cost. This bid here comprises the 3rd year of control of the herbaceous species across the entire 100-acre project area, and then would be kind of the remaining bit that's left of the woody invasive clearing over the upcoming winter. So we did go out and seek bids for this upcoming year. The lowest qualified bid here was from Woods to Wetlands out of Streamwood in the amount of $89,300. Again, we've worked with Woods to Wetlands on several projects. They're fully capable of doing this type of work. They've done clearing work and herbaceous weed control for us in the past. We did have funds totaling $280,000 budgeted towards this project. Following the completion of the first 2 years of control, we do have sufficient funds of $100,100 remaining in that project to cover this $89,000 expense. So at this time, we are recommending approval of this bid.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Chess? Hearing none, roll call, please.
No question, but just a quick comment.
Comment, Mr. Davis?
Yes, Davis here. Having seen the recent report on some of the conditions out there, I think it's essential that we also keep Golf Visions on board with a collaborative effort, because this will be more effective if they're in fact doing the work that they should be doing on the golf course at the same time.
More to come.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Any other questions? Mr. Iqbal?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I see that there's a large variation in the bid amount and the bids. Is there any reason for that? It goes from 100,000 to 300,000?
Mr. Chess?
Yeah, so we tend to see large variations in these kind of full year long or multi-year long contracts that we'll do. We find that sometimes companies just don't necessarily have the time to commit to that number of visits over the course of a year. And so they'll throw out a really big number. They don't necessarily want the work, but they'll be willing to do it for a very large amount. Woods to Wetlands is also a husband-wife owned company that just tends to bring on some seasonal employees. So they really have a very low overhead compared to some of these other larger companies. So we tend to find that their numbers when they bid on our projects are a lot lower. But this $89,000 is fairly in line with the numbers that we've had over the first 2 years. So that's about where we expected the work to be. And there's nothing that's really cause for alarm in where that value is. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That do it? Okay, great. Then any other questions for Pat?
Doherty?
Mr. Doherty?
So who did it the first 2 years?
The first 2 years were done by Davy. It was a different company.
And they didn't bid it all this time?
Correct.
But they were notified.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Doherty. Okay, then any other questions? Hearing none, seeing none, roll call, please.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Gum,
Yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Juby,
I.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Sturgis,
Yes.
Burke, Pepe,
Tepe, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
approved.
Motion passes.
Chris, if we could find that grass that pushes my golf ball back into play.
You're out of order.
Green grass.
I can find you. I think Mr. Leonard will give you lessons.
Out of order and apparently out of bounds.
Also out of bounds too.
Okay, on to more serious business. Under new business, before you is the ordinance that places the limiting rate increase on this November's ballot. And bear with me, it's going to be a little dry. May I have a motion and a second for FPO 24070604, approval of an ordinance providing for the requiring the submission of the proposition of increasing the limited rate of the Forest Preserve District of Kane County, Illinois, to the voters of said Forest Preserve District at the general election to be held on the 5th day of November 2024. Moved by
Roth will make the motion. Roth will second.
Okay. And everybody, thank you for participating. Deal with that. Okay. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, roll call, please.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Doherty, no.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Ford, Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Juby,
I.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
Sturgis, yes.
Carver, Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Young,
No.
it's approved.
Motion passes. Okay, under still under new business, may I have a motion and a second for FPR 24073097, resolution approving a bid for the Carpentersville Dam removal, moved by
Sturgis.
Sturgis,
Sanchez.
second by Sanchez. And Jennifer Brooks Lopez this morning.
This is Ben. Can you hear me yet?
Yes, Ben.
Oh, all right. Actually, I've got a little context I'd like to give prior to Jen, if that's okay.
It's okay with me.
Okay, I just wanted to, this has come up a little atypically through commission right now, so I just wanted to give the context. This is something we've been working on either 9 or 5 years, depending how you want to count it. About 9 years ago, we received the award notification from IDNR for both the Fabian Causeway and the Carpenter's Dam removal. About 5 years ago, we hired V3 as a designer to come up with an implementation plan for the removal of Carpentersville Dam. At that time, we hired a hydrologist. We studied all the parameters of the project, including the up and down stream effects. One notable mention here, as dams have become more of an issue in recent years, is that we almost entirely own the reservoir behind the Carpentersville Dam. So we own either side of the river for 2.5 miles behind the dam, except for 3 small lots which don't have residences on them. And I just wanted to mention that for context when we have all these other community dams that are being discussed. The first design that was prepared about 2 years ago was considered an in the dry project, which would have had the historic causeways being reconnected and the sediment behind the dam trucked out. IDNR ultimately rejected that design due to cost. That was about a $3 million project, and requested that we redesign a so-called in the wet project, which V3 did at their cost.
So, did we lose him?
I took care of him.
Uh-oh.
COVID took them.
Well, I guess that's enough for that context.
Dam. Yeah.
Continue.
Nick, and it would kind of last month, this board approved V3 as
Oop. One more shot.
Is there anyone else in the room that could?
We just turn it over to Jennifer for right now then. Jennifer?
Yeah, so I'm gonna try to do this with the mask and pick up
the
where Ben left
bids.
off. But like he had said earlier, this project was bid back in April and May of this year. One of the requirements of the grant that we received from the IDNR is that they have to approve the contractor who's going to be doing the construction or the demolition of the dam. Since this is a joint bid with the IDNR, they have certain requirements that are worked into those bid documents that we don't necessarily do. And one of IDNR's pre-qualifications is that all of their contractors on bids must be IDOT pre-qualified, which is the Illinois Department of Transportation. So when those bids came back in May, the 3 lowest bidders were in the process of getting their IDOT pre-qualification. They had been previously IDOT pre-qualified, but conveniently they all expired on April 30th of 2024. So at that point, we were going back and forth with the IDNR to figure out whether or not they would allow us to award it to the lowest contractor as long as they had their pre-qualification in place prior to the awarding of the contract. At that point, IDNR's legal counsel was not comfortable with it and asked that we rebid the project. One of the keys to this project is the ideal time to remove the dam. And the ideal time to remove this dam is in the lowest water levels along the Fox River. Historically, that is August, September, and October. So that was why originally the intent was to get this in front of the board in June of this year so that we would have July to work through contracts and have the contractor ready to go in August. With the delay from the IDNR, we didn't want to push this to the August board. We really wanted to get this back in front of the board in July, but because of the timing and how long everything took, that is why we are here today with this. So we were forced to go back out to bid. We've compressed that timeline, and that's why we're here in front of you today. So like Ben had said, the project started in 2015. We were given a grant from IDNR in 2015. That project included the removal of the Fabian Causeway as well as the Carpentersville Dam. So we started with Fabian Causeway. In 2019, the district really did start moving forward on the Carpentersville Dam. That's when we started acquiring contracts with engineering services. So we've really been moving on this project since late 2019. Excuse me. It's really hard to do this. Anyway, so 2019 started moving forward with this. This dam, to remove a dam from the Fox River, it requires an Army Corps of Engineer permit, it requires an IEPA permit, it requires an Illinois Department of Natural Resources, Water Resources permit, Kane to Page soil and water permit, as well as a Kane County water resources permit. That is why it takes so long. So at this point, the project has been completely vetted. All permits from those regulatory agencies have been received. And that's why we have the go-ahead from the IDNR to move forward. So the nuts and bolts of the bid that you have in front of you today is of the original $3,500,000 grant that was given to the district in 2015. We have $2,078,305 remaining. The project was put out to bid for a second time. The three lowest bidders from the original bid did rebid the project, with the lowest bidder being HGS LLC, which is doing business as RES Environmental Operating Company, for a total bid of $1,197,089.85. Additionally, the district will be requesting a 10% contingency to cover any unknowns during the project of $119,708.99 for a total project cost not to exceed $1,316,798.84. Funds totaling $2,500,000 were budgeted for engineering and demolition in the account number 0335355070. Currently, as I said, we have $2,078,305 remaining for the project. As a side note, the district will be responsible for costs associated with the boat launch impact. So just north of Carpentersville Dam, like Ben mentioned, we own 2.5 miles north of the dam. Within that 2.5 miles is a boat launch that will be impacted when the changing water levels occur. We will be responsible for those costs. Those costs were included in the base bid of $149,606. So at this point, staff is recommending that the board approve a contract with HGS LLC, doing business as RES Environmental Operating Company, for the removal of Carpentersville Dam for $1,197,089.85, plus a contingency of $119,708.99 for a total project cost not to exceed $1,316,798.84.
Any questions? I see, we'll go Mr. Surges first, and I see your hand, Mr. Doherty.
Three quick items. The first one is just a statement that we are so excited for this. I know that at the north end, and I don't want to speak for Jared and Chris, but there's been such controversial things that we've spent years and years developing, yet we built a bridge, still not open. We're going to take a dam out. We still don't understand the ramifications. We are so excited for this, but my question for this is, this past year, and actually the past 2 months, there's like schmutz is the right word that is in the water, but the water level is way high. So I don't think that it's stuff growing from the bottom. And we've had great flowage. And Chris, I think I called you.
I'm going to stop you on that one, and you can discuss that with her later, I think.
Yeah, I mean, does removing a dam help with that?
No.
Help with the flow
with the flow. Is that what's the point?
I believe that's much as algae.
Miss Bates.
Yeah, I mean, what's the
I'm going
spending
to,
$1 million
Mr.
bucks?
Surges, I understand the question. I'm going to, please, if we can get the meeting on, did you had 2 more points?
That's all right. The most important thing was, why are we spending the money to do, what's the base reason to do this so that we can communicate with constituents?
So the base reason for removing the dam is to improve the water quality and to stop that blockage of the dam, of the water behind the dam. So the water behind the dam is typically stagnant. It also creates kind of a pool of materials behind it, prevents fish from swimming upstream. It's a detriment to the river itself. That is not how rivers are intended to flow. We, the district, are actually not paying for this. The state is paying for the removal of the dam. The only cost the district is incurring at this point is to repair the boat launch on the north end. But yes, once the dam comes down, that will improve the flows in that area.
Okay.
And keep that.
Offline, yeah, that's.
Yeah, more detail. I've got a great biology class you can sign up for. There's points about that, the dam?
No, I'm
Said-
just, no.
Maybe
I'm-
3.
I'm-
Okay, Mr. Doherty. Thank you, Mr. I know we're all interested in this. Mr. Doherty, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just first of all want to point out 9 years to take down 2 dams. Government moves so fast. But I was told the Army Corps of Engineer was a part of this 9 years ago. So what can we tell? Some kind of what was their report?
I'm sorry, what was their report? So they,
What did they say? They said this is a great idea. You should get it done in 2 years.
oh, I don't know what the original, I was not here in 2015, so I'm not sure what they originally thought the timeline would be. But it is a program that the Army Corps has endorsed. They've been endorsing the removal of the dams up and down the Fox River. And they have signed off and participated in the engineering design for the removal of this dam and then signed off permitting wise.
That's right. This is Ben, if I can attempt to overcome my audio problems here. The Army Corps had their recent report that was advocating for the removal of all dams across the Fox River. That's more recent than we started here. But the main context is that the Army Corps is the regulatory authority for all navigable waterways in Illinois. And so this was an IDNR initiative, and we sought Army Corps approval. So they were approving of every step of the way, as long as we met all the requirements, which we have to this point.
That answer your question, Mr. Doherty? Okay,
I guess.
Okay, Mr. Iqbal?
Mr. Chairman, I have a procedural question. Last month, we had the same resolution and we passed it. No, there's another resolution of the same dam, just taking it out. What is the effect on the first resolution if we pass this one today?
I believe the first resolution was an engineering cost that was approved.
Yes, so one of the requirements of the IDNR is that we have an engineer on site during the removal of the dam. What the board approved last month was a contract with V3 Services to be that on-site engineer during the removal of the dam. So they are separate from the contractor who will be removing the dam. This is just the on-site observation, or that was the on-site observation. This is the contract for the demolition. 2 separate contracts, 2 separate contractors.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Iqbal, okay. Mr. Sanchez?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to point out for Cliff and anybody else who's interested in the why of dam removal. The Friends of the Fox River is a wonderful organization that, the county and the Forest Preserve has worked with on many things over many years. And they've been giving presentations up and down the river, explaining why they're removing or advocating to remove dams. So I would reach out to the Friends of the Fox River if you're curious about why we're doing this.
Good point. Good reference. All right. Any other questions? Then we'll do roll call, please.
Allen,
Allen, aye. Bates, yes.
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Gavest,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Iqbal,
Well, yes.
Juby,
I.
Kenyon, Caius,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
Yes.
Tarver, Tepe,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
it's approved.
Motion passes. Goodbye, Dan. Okay, we have no need, gratefully, for closed session this morning. Ori, do we have communications, please?
Director Hebether was going to make some comments before mine.
Okay, are you up, Ben?
Yeah. Yes, sorry. So I'll attempt. This was just I was out of order or couldn't be heard earlier on the question to sustainable options for other mowers. We have vetted those. I just wanted to kind of underline it's the same outcome as what Director Jensen had mentioned, but we're actually replacing some of our propane models with the resolution that was passed today because they stopped manufacturing them. So I just wanted to mention that we're always looking for more sustainable models of mowers. We have moved all of our string trimmers to electric. We just haven't seen a viable option yet for zero turn type mowers, but we're open to it. So just didn't have a chance to say that earlier and wanted to share that with the board.
Insight.
Thank you.
Okay, Lori?
Sure. I passed out a copy of the executive summary of our 2024 progress report. This details how we've invested the funds from the 2017 referendum. This is the shorter version. There is a much longer, more detailed version coming out. And as soon as I have that back from the printer, you will all receive a copy, and both the executive summary and the full version will be posted on the district's website. And then some other communications I have. We are undergoing a trail safety public awareness campaign, trying to get people to ride 15 miles an hour maximum or slower on the bike trails. And also to remind people that class 1 and class 2 e-bikes are the only ones that are permitted as far as electronic bikes go. Class 3 e-bikes are not permitted anywhere in the trail system in the forest preserves. So we've created this flyer. We've created a little character called Max 15 to remind you to only go a maximum of 15 miles an hour. We've been sharing this with local bike shops. It's been really well received. They're posting it in their shops. Some of the local municipalities are also sharing the flyer. So if you see this, this is part of our public awareness campaign to get people to slow down on the trails.
Thank you.
Welcome. We're inviting everyone out to join the seed team. This is a group of volunteers and staff who go out and harvest seed at the different forest preserves every Wednesday. This seed will be used to establish woodlands and prairies and other plant communities out in the forest preserves. And tomorrow's seed harvest is at the Chicago Premium Outlets Marsh. It starts at 9 o'clock. Everyone's welcome. Wear shoes that can get wet, obviously, tomorrow. And then lastly, I wanted to talk about summer camps, and I'd like to invite our environmental education manager, Barb McKittrick, and our naturalist, Erica Lemon, to come up to the podium while I talk a little bit about summer camps, just in case you have any questions or comments for them. We are deep into our summer camp season so far. 3 weeks are behind us, and this week our summer camp is at Fabian Forest Preserve. We send out evaluation forms for all of our registration programs, summer camp included. And we had some really nice feedback from a recent program that Erica led for summer camp. And so first I wanted to read Barb's email to me and to Executive Director Habither, followed by the parents' evaluation of the summer camp. Barb wrote, Ben and Lori, I just have to share this with you. I'm so proud of Erica and our naturalist interns for the excellent work they did adapting one of our summer camps for a mobility impaired child. This was not a simple task as they needed to modify many of the activities, hiking locations, games, and parent communication tools in order to make this child feel included, safe, and happy. It obviously worked. And then here is what the parent wrote. My kids, and she had 2 that attended, loved the variety of activities that were offered during camp. They were all done beautifully. My son uses a power wheelchair, and they accommodated him seamlessly without hesitation. I couldn't have been more satisfied. He was also extremely happy, which was the most important part. Erica and her staff were wonderful with my children. As stated above, the inclusion services and accommodations were exceptional. Erica did a great communication beforehand. It did an awesome job making sure he was included and making me feel safe sending him. He had a blast. So I just wanted to thank Erica and all of the naturalists for their hard work. Clearly received great feedback about our nature programs, and it's nice to have Erica and Barb come out so you can put names with the faces. And I promised Erica she didn't have to make a speech, but I wouldn't mind if she answered any comments or questions.
Since we got them on the spot there, I just want to comment myself is that not only do they handle children really well, they handle seniors really well. We've had both of them lead the senior stroll, which has been very enlightening, and with the crowd growing to 40 or so, maybe sometimes, some of those seniors are problematic. Nobody in particular, Mr. Rock. Comments?
I do have a comment, not about senior stroll because
Ms.
I'm
Lewis.
not that old. So I had the pleasure of allowing my granddaughter to go to the one at Oakhurst Forest Preserve a few weeks ago. And I wanted to mention from a safety aspect, how very impressed I was with what happened. Tuesday morning was that morning that it was really, really bad. The weather was horrible. It was raining. We had no idea. Oakhurst does not have, it's got the shelter, but not like a permanent indoor area, which they have to have. So at 6:30 in the morning, we got a phone call saying that they were going to move it to Leroy Oaks to the inside building. And they did that transition beautifully. The day turned out great for the kids. They got a chance to do all their activities there and plus see another really, really cool place. So I was just so impressed with the safety aspect from it. And secondly, my granddaughter is all into gymnastics, but she has decided when she grows up, she's going to be a fisherman. So, because they did fish and that's her first exposure ever to fishing. So I thought that was really awesome. So thank you guys for everything you do. It's a good
Barb.
career.
Okay, any other questions or comments? We could go on and on with this stuff. That's great. Other communications, Lori? Thank you for doing all you do.
Lori. Mr. President.
Mr. Doherty.
Yeah, I just wanted to go back to the presentation. What's wrong with E3 e-bikes?
I'm going to have you refer this offline, if we don't mind. We're just getting over an hour's worth. If that's okay.
All right.
Thank you. Lori, we'll get back to you, or Ben, for sure, as we move on here. Okay, that was it for communications? Okay, then president's comments. Well, I'll start with something sad first. And this is, I'm going to ask for a moment of silence. I don't believe we've done this for Officer Ed Lopez, who we lost as one of our family with the Forest Preserve just recently. And so just a moment of silence for him, please. Okay, thank you. He was a very pleasant and accommodating individual who served the Forest Preserve really well. And then I'll probably blubber through this. Mr. Hoshite and Mr. Kenyon, the past presidents of the Forest Preserve, thank you very much for your contributions over your period of time as with the Forest Preserve and your continued contributions to the Forest Preserve. And thanks all to everyone. See, I knew I'd do it. All the volunteers and the TCF people for getting us to the next 100 years with the Forest Preserve. There we go. May I have motion to second place the monthly reports on file?
So moved.
Or request.
Unanimous consent.
Williams asked for unanimous consent for put the reports on file. Is there any objection or comments? Hearing none. Make it so. Then Mr. Kenyon, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Move we adjourn on another good day for the Forest Preserve. I'm always proud of what you people do. Every day you improve everything. That, the staff, that.
Thank you. Long for the ride. Exactly right.
And Roth will second that.
Yes, Mr. Roth seconds that. All in favor? Aye. We'll see you next month. And thank you. Another 100 years.